This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals at your service, broadcasting from the KFAB studio high above Underwood Avenue. This is the only show in the metro area that talks about business expansion, real estate construction, fun things related to Omaha becoming more vibrant and prosperous. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. And without any further ado, it's time to bring on my co-host, a man who's absolutely legendary in his real estate deal-making prowess, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, Jeff. Welcome back, Jeff.
Well, thank you very much. Happy New Year to you and Happy New Year to our whole entire audience. It's going to be a great show today. In a little bit, we're going to bring on Mayor Jean Stothert. And whenever we have the mayor on, we talk about all sorts of construction and development issues from her perspective. So that's going to be a lot of fun today. But before we get into that, we have a Grow Omaha Eats restaurant review. Sarah Baker Hansen, the premier restaurant reviewer in Omaha, is part of our team, and she reviewed Texas de Brazil. Of course, Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews are brought to you by Cheer Athletics. That is the nation's finest all-star cheer gym. Only 12 locations in the world. One of them is right here in Omaha, just southwest of Highway 50 and Highway 370. If you have a kid that's interested in competing and really growing and developing as a human being, check out Cheer Athletics. Trent, have you tried Texas de Brazil yet?
I have not been down there, but I read the review, and I want to go down there.
Yeah, I've not tried it either. I've wanted to a couple times, but I knew and I've heard that it's, just like meat, and more meat, and you are very uncomfortably full when you get there. And I'm only want to go if I'm sufficiently hungry enough. I mean, I think I need to maybe have a little breakfast, then fast for the rest of the day.
And I've been to the concept of other places in the country, but they always say you can't fill up on the salad bar and the soup. You gotta
avoid the fillers.
Make your room. But Sarah says the salad bar and the Brazilian cheese bread is awesome.
Yeah, and
make reservations, she says.
Yeah, there are a couple photographs. If you go to the growomaha.com website and click on EATS Eats on the navigation bar, you can see it. And then there are about 10 photographs from it. So Texas de Brazil is the restaurant review selection for this week. All right, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. They know mortgages. They've been doing it for 30 years. And all right, New Year's Day is over. Christmas is over. Thanksgiving and Hanukkah, long over. It's time to get serious. New year, new deal. Get a new house. You've been wanting to get a new house for a while, and if you're thinking about doing that, get a hold of Holly Schneidwin or one of her team members, Eagle Mortgage, and talk about a pre-approval letter. Doesn't matter whether you're going to go conventional, FHA, or VA. They help you with all that. The finest mortgage broker helping people all over the metro area get the American dream. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. Trenton, first story. This is kind of interesting. The North Omaha Airport. This small private general aviation airport, 72nd.
Out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people.
That would be at 72nd and Highway 36. You forget it's there.
Right.
Anyway, big plans. The newish owners of the place want to turn it into a private aviators club. And this thing would have its own hotel just for the members. It'd be membership only. It would have like a country club style restaurant and clubhouse. Hopefully they regulate how much beer and cocktails the pilots have.
Yeah, they lose their flying abilities when they go to the restaurant.
New hangar, runway expansion, security all over the place. So this could be interesting. I'm told by people who are familiar with the aviation world that this would be very ambitious for a market this size, but pretty cool. And I'm also told, though, that there's this community of aviators who really would embrace such a thing and look for a facility.
And it's a private enterprise, so let them go.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch and see how that turns out. Speaking of private enterprises, one of the biggest companies in the world is Google, and they have decided to expand the Northwest Omaha data center before it's really even gone vertical. They've been grading it for about a year. 270-acre site, going to add another 187 acres.
Boy, that's competing with the Sarpy County data center now. It's getting big.
So Google, of course, is still not done with that Sarpy County data center that they have in Papillion. And, of course, they have 1,000 acres of data center in Council Bluffs. So get a load of this. The Omaha metro area is the largest concentration of Google operational activity anywhere in the United States.
We'll take it. They know quality. They know when they have the right people around them.
And they know how to
the place.
And they know how to find information. The Omaha Planning Board approved tax increment financing this week for a 17-unit riverfront condominium development. And this will be a $12 million 5-story project known as River Place, going to be constructed at 520 Riverfront Plaza right next to those existing riverfront condo towers.
This has been a long time coming, Joe.
Well, do you remember, oh gosh, I mean, it was probably 10 years ago you and I talked to the developers of that
Easy.
about doing some other stuff down there.
Easy. Those towers have been there for a long time.
Right next to the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge, completion planned for 2024, still needs city council approval. All right, we're going to make the news short this week because we want to get right to Mayor Jean Stothert. We have a long list of things to talk to the mayor about, so you're going to be excited to hear all this. Stay with us. Going to go into that in a moment. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
So this is the Uncut, so this still gets recorded for YouTube.
It's what?
This is still being recorded.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm with the mayor.
So, selfie.
Watch what you say. That's right.
I was very excited about my friend Aaron Hansen. He was on the show last week.
He's going to be. He's going to be very, very good. You know, I helped him, and
Yeah. It was covering your face.
How's that?
That's better. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't hear his speech because I was busy.
He teared up.
But he said that he mentioned my name in his speech, so that
He
was
did.
yeah. He said I was singing your praises. I said, well, good. No, he'll be good. I think and he will be good for working obviously with the Omaha Police Department.
Absolutely.
I mean, he works
Knows
well.
the
yeah.
system.
Yeah,
Really
knows the system. Knows
I could
what
see
needs
him
to
be there
done.
for a long time. How long is that? A 4-year term or is that?
Yeah, it's 4-year term. But you know, when I started, I remember running against Settle. Aaron was the president of OPOA at the time.
Yeah.
And they went after me, and he was brutal. But I can respect the kind of person he is, and he's very good on his feet. He speaks very well. He's very intelligent. And after all that was over, you just forget about it, you know. And I ended up endorsing him and campaigning for him because I could recognize what a good job he will do.
So about a year and a half ago, when he started the campaign, he reached out to me and he said, "I want to talk to the head of property management and your people that handle the properties because we want to know how Omaha's built environment's being taken care of, and if there's transients that are doing things, you know, people are stealing copper or people are damaging properties. We want to know how we can cure that." And so I was impressed.
Yeah, he's, by the way, that just reminded me of something you might even want to mention if we have time. It doesn't have much to do with development, but we do have a new homeless service coordinator, a new position in my office to address the homeless issue. So that you may not have time or be interested.
We'll talk about it. We'll get into there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I'll put it on the
It's
list
something
here.
new because we get a lot of complaints, obviously, about homeless.
Is it called a homeless coordinator?
Homeless service coordinator, and she works out of my office, so she
Okay.
reports directly to me. So, and she was homeless herself
Oh, really?
in the past, so she really has a connection there with everybody. So
Cool turnaround
yeah,
story.
yeah.
So does her cough button work?
Excuse me, I won't cough on the air.
No, but there's a.
That's okay, but if you feel one coming on, you can hit off or hit cough.
Yeah, that cough button's active. Yeah.
The only difference is if you hit off, then you have to make sure to turn. Well, I can turn it back on.
The only one that doesn't
Cough
work is
is
yours
just
because you're
mute.
on Rogers.
The one that actually says cough.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
It
makes
actually
you
works.
cough. Now the difference between it and an off button is it just mutes
Okay.
the mic, and then once you take your finger off, you're back.
No,
on.
no, these don't work. These
Yes,
don't.
they do. Yes, they do.
This here?
Oh, no, I think you're talking about
That's old. So you just have
Oh
to
no,
hit off.
in the black box.
Yeah, the black button.
Oh, okay.
the
All right.
white
Yeah,
box.
well, you guys, we should get
Okay.
Oh, that's
here we
right.
go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cover those up.
Does she have to hold down or just hit off once?
Well, if she hits off, then she has to hit it back
I'll wait
on.
and cough in the
If she hits cough,
Save your
as soon as she
coughs.
takes her finger
Yeah,
off,
this is
it-
too confusing
Then
for me.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals at your service, sitting next to Trenton Magid. And we are brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. D&M Roofing and Siding, the best roofing contractor in Nebraska and Iowa, and they serve Nebraska and Iowa. You can find them online at dandmroofing.com. Well, we have Mayor Jean Stothert with us today. We periodically invite her into the studio so we can get an update on big growth and development plans from the mayor's perspective. Jean, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's
I
an
like
honor to
being
have you
on
back.
this show. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've told you this before. I'm going to say it again. I listened to your show on Saturday morning, and I had to learn about Omaha. I learned a lot about Omaha just by listening to your show. You have good stuff on here.
Well, thank you, and I hope
We appreciate that.
I hope we had that recorded, Roger, because I think we just got a new Omaha promo cut right there.
There you go. I'm your biggest fan.
Well, Mayor, thank you for that, and thanks for joining us. And you know, it's been a busy year, but as we're here at the start of a new one, what's your miniature state of the city address for us right now?
You know, the one thing I could tell everybody and your listeners is Omaha is doing very, very well. I think people heard I had a little discussion face-to-face with Warren Buffett the other day, and he couldn't praise Omaha enough about the financial situation, the growth, the investment in Omaha, the reputation that we are building. I mean, we are a really amazing city. And the thing of it is so different about Omaha is philanthropy, that we have it like no other city does. When we used to have mayor meetings, which we kind of stopped during COVID, but they would say, how do you get all these things done with millions and millions of private money going into it? Because I always bring up our riverfront parks. And, you know, total, if you look at the Luminarium, the museum, $400 million of private money, and the city put in 60. That's quite a return, an investment right there. And so we've got a really good public-private partnership thing going on here in Omaha, and things are just happening all the time. And they never did slow down during COVID either. And you could see it from you know, the riverfront downtown all the way west. There's things going on, and these aren't little developments. Some are, but some are huge developments. So I'm really happy with the way things are going. And financially, we're doing really, really well now, too.
And we have plenty of things to look forward to. The Luminarium opens this year.
The Luminarium will
spring,
probably
I
open
believe.
in April of this year. I just did a tour of it the other day, and it is going to be just fantastic.
Steelhouse Omaha, I think, opens around May 12th.
Steelhouse will open in May. Yes, it will.
Then what about the expansion, the 90-acre riverfront with the loop, the skating loop?
Right. It's called the Skating Ribbon, and that is in the part that's in Heartland of America Park. That skating ribbon is the size of a football field. And in the summer, people could skate in it, and in the fall and the winter, they'll freeze it over and you can ice skate in it. But this is, you're right, it's 90 acres of city-owned property. The Jean Leahy Mall opened July 1st, and it is fantastic. And for all the naysayers that said, I like the old park better, the number of people that are down there every day is amazing. They estimate in the first 2 months over 200,000 people have visited the Jean Leahy Mall. So people love it. And, you know, they Mecca runs it, hired somebody to activate it. Things are going on all the time, and they're going to expand that. For example, next holiday season, they're going to have a bigger Christmas tree. They're going to have more events down there. But the rest of it, which would be Heartland of America Park, where the skate ribbon is, and then you go north to Lewis and Clark Landing, actually they're almost ahead of schedule now. And they think that will open in July of 2023. And the other day I was down at the Luminarium, and you know, you stand in the Luminarium, there's a lot of glass, and you're looking right out over the river, and then you look in one direction, and what you see is this huge children's park. That Luminarium, the feel of it, it's right in the middle of a park. And there's activation all around it. You know, the children's park down on the riverfront, right by the Luminarium, is 4 times the size of the park that's in the Jean Leahy Mall.
Oh, my gosh.
It's fantastic. I'm going to have to spend some time in that playground. And, you know, there's an urban beach down there. There's sand volleyball. The whole thing is just beautiful. It should all be done and open in July of 23.
Well, I think that activation word that you use is key. Ever since the Jean Leahy opened in July, I've stopped by multiple times. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if I had a meeting downtown before going back to the office, I would walk through there. Always something going on, whether it was summer, whether it was fall. And then frankly, I was quite impressed during the holiday lights time. Some of those days were pretty darn cold.
Yes.
Still had a lot of activity down
A
there.
lot of activity, like all during December, every Friday, Saturday night. There was music playing. There was a light show. When we turned the lights on Thanksgiving night, we used to do it down on a little makeshift stage right there on across from the library, but we used the pavilion, and there was a lot of people. Unfortunately, we had a little snafu with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's the lights, and nothing turned on for a few seconds. It was one of those Clark Griswold moments, but they turned on, and it was just gorgeous down there. And people, like you said, even in the cold weather, they like going down there. So.
Well, the mall has changed downtown, but it's about ready to change a heck of a lot more.
Yes.
We always say, Mayor, that on Grow Omaha there are two kinds of red meat for our listeners. One, restaurants, which we talk about all the time.
Yes.
The other one, skyscrapers. We don't get so many of those. But talk a little bit about the Mutual of Omaha skyscraper. What went into that, and just give us a little bit of background about what is going to be something that
Sure.
changes the look of the town.
It certainly will, and you're right. We don't have a lot of skyscrapers that we can talk about, and this one will be the tallest building. Not that was their goal, but it will be the tallest building downtown. And when I think about it, and I think of what our skyline will look like and pictures of Omaha in the future, it's going to be that new Jean Leahy Mall looking at the end. It's going to be this huge building that says Mutual of Omaha, which is going to be fantastic. A lot of work went in there, and I got to give a lot of credit to my team and the planning department and our city attorneys. They've done such a good job. But, originally we had started working with Mutual when they actually wanted to expand their own campus and rebuild on the campus that they are in now in Midtown. We started working with them way back then. And then they got very interested, start working with Jason Lanahaw on the site called the old UP site downtown, right across from Union Pacific. That is just a shovel-ready a block of space down there right now. And but they said with the number of employees that they had, 4,000, it was going to be hard for them to build downtown without the advantage of a streetcar to move people in downtown, around downtown, and out of downtown. But that was not where the streetcar was going to go. And our team got together and thought, wait a minute, let's bring them to where the streetcar is. We've got this great library site right at the end of the new Jean Leahy Mall. We knew that as prime real estate. We knew we wanted to build a new library downtown. That was in their facility plan that they had years ago, that library should come down and we should build another downtown library. And so we just started those conversations, and in the end, it all worked out. The deal is done. We have handed that site over to Mutual of Omaha. We get the old UP site back, but we get millions of dollars on top of that. And so it was a real good thing that we have done. Now that building they're going to start their work really, really soon. And you're going to see construction, and you're going to see things going on. We demoed it. It's ready to go right now. And I'm so excited about it. I can't think of a better thing that we could have building downtown like I said, our skyline is just going to change forever.
Plus, you got to build, what is that, 14th and Dodge? You got a beautiful site, the old UP site that is ready to be built on as well for another project.
And what
teed up.
That's right. And what we want to do, we will do the city, what we want there is we want something big. We want something that'll generate, obviously, tax revenue. And so we'll do an RFP about what we want down there, and then we'll see what kind of response we had. But I will tell you, there's already a lot of prospects for that site there. There's a lot of interest in it, from mixed use to multifamily. So we'll see what we think is the best use for that spot there.
You know what I think would be interesting for that site? One of the things we've lacked in the hotel world in a market the size of Omaha would be a big major upper end one. Mm-hmm. And we might be getting to that point as a city with our economy and population where we could support something like that. A lot of cities will do these mixed use projects where you have an upscale hotel and part of a tall building. You'll have some apartments, but a lot of condos, even some penthouses up top, maybe even a little bit of office. Mm-hmm. I've always wondered if something like that wouldn't work on that site.
I think it would, as long as you had, some mixed use, as long as you had some office, some retail in there, some restaurant
condos,
in there.
Different uses.
Exactly. And I think that would work really, really well in that area. And there are people that already have that in mind to put that there. So I think, we're not going to let it sit. And people bring up to me, well, wait a minute, what about where the Civic Auditorium was? You got that site too now, and it's sitting. But we are working with the developers. There is a plan now that we've kind of revised that plan and for that area where the Civic site was. And I really like it. I think it's going to work a lot better. We're going to add more roads inside of it. I think it's going to be a great spot.
So here's a question. This is our as close to the 19th anniversary of the Grow Omaha show we're going to get. So thanks for being here for our anniversary show. We started this, Jeff, January 10th of 2004.
That is correct.
Really?
Yeah, so we're close to 1,000 episodes. And one of the things that we talked about and what we need downtown Omaha is a full-size grocery store, whether it's a Hy-Vee. A lot of people want a Trader Joe's. And do you get those requests as well? We hear rumors all the time about a full-service grocery store, whether it can support it. And a grocery store will go down there when it can be supported and they can sell the perishable produce and that kind of stuff and get enough customer base.
A lot of developers have talked about it and want it on their sites. I could name 5 right now that would like that some sort of a grocery store in the downtown area. You know, in the past, they said, as you said, it didn't. The number of residents down there wouldn't support a grocery store. But that has changed now, and we all know how many apartments and how many people are moving in the urban core in the downtown area right now. And there are definitely plenty that could support a grocery store down there now. So there's quite a few sites that people have their eye on right now, and I could tell you there's quite a few developers that are working on getting that grocery store downtown.
Part of a shameless plug because it's our show, but Maddie Grave and I in our office have the 8,700 square foot space where Patrick's Market was before it was Flywheel.
Yes.
Right at 1416 Howard Street. So if anybody has, it could be a small grocery store, but it could be a lot of office. It could be office use. It could be retail. And we're actually looking for a tenant. There's a dock in the back. So anybody that has that, call Maddie or I. And I'd be remiss while we're talking about downtown if I didn't mention that beautiful space right there by the old market.
Finest space on the market.
Damn right.
And, I want to say, too, what Omaha is booming in now, and I think this is interesting, is apartments. Where it used to be young families would get, their starter home. You would hear that. We aren't seeing those single-family starter homes as much in Omaha now.
Because they're $400,000 to start.
Well, that's true, but the apartments are just booming. I mean, I had people ask me a lot, there's too many being built. Nobody's going to fill them up. They are filling up as soon as they're built. And these developers aren't going to build these apartments if they don't think they can fill them up. So apartments are really booming in Omaha now.
A lot of those apartments are in some of these big districts that are in play downtown. We talked about the Mutual of Omaha Tower, Civic and all that, but I look at the Mercantile District, the Millwork Commons, the Builders District in North Downtown. Those are exciting as well because there are a lot of different building projects in a concentrated area in all 3 of those instances.
Yes, and they're all really different. Like the Mercantile, when that is done, and of course, to remind people, that's where the ConAgra campus was, but when that is done, it's going to make the old market just look like it flows right down to the river. And that's a mixed-use development. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. We are building a parking garage within that facility there. But that is a multi-$100 million project, and it's going to be really great, and they're moving that right along. You mentioned Millworks down there, north of the ballpark, west of the ballpark, the Builders District, where Kiewit's new headquarters is. All of that, how that will flow together, and then with the riverfront opening there. And so, one thing I have to mention, too, that we will be looking at is with the Arena Convention Center. We might eventually have to expand that. So because we can attract a lot of more conventions and a lot bigger conventions down there. So a lot of interest in that downtown area.
Well, think about how different it'll be with all these projects you're talking about, all the connectivity from the north to the south and from the east to the west, and it's becoming a heck of a lot more walkable.
Yes.
And then with the streetcar expanding it'll go north to the convention center, right?
Right.
And then it'll go out west to the Med Center. That's what we haven't seen, and to get people to go around and try different things, park your car or take a bus or take the streetcar, and then you can go anywhere.
And the purpose of the streetcar is to basically get people in downtown, around downtown, and out of downtown. Because as we all know, parking downtown is choking development. And we've got all these service lots in a downtown, an active, vibrant, urban downtown. You don't want to see a lot of surface parking lots. You want to see buildings down there and people down there and businesses down there and restaurants down there. And that's how this streetcar is really going to be beneficial for all of those that are against it. And I hear this a lot. I get emails saying, don't do the streetcar, Mayor. Put it to a vote. I would put it to a vote if we were going to raise taxes. I would put it to a vote if people were going to have to pay for it. But we have a finance model that, people will say, I live out West Omaha. I don't want it. I don't want to pay for it. They're not going to pay for it. They
But
will
they're gonna
not
use
pay
it.
for it, but they'll use it. I know they will use it. And we hired a company called Municap out of Baltimore that went through our financial plan, and they looked at every property along the way of the streetcar, along where those rails were, from the 3-block area and then expanded to the 6-block area. And our estimates of what the increased valuations would be that will pay for this streetcar, that what they estimated conservatively were much more than what we did. It's going to take a little over $300 million to build the streetcar. They're estimating the increased valuations from building and from new mixed use and everything that's going to go along around where those rails are is going to bring in over $600 million. So there will be enough money for construction of the streetcar, plus additional money that we could use for affordable housing and a lot of other things. It's a win-win situation.
Plus, in addition to the property tax revenue increases, presumably there'll be a lot more businesses operating along that line, some more sales tax revenue as well.
And we've talked to, developers along the way and that, would you be interested in this? Would you be willing to give 25% of what your TIF is? That's part of the amount of funding we're using to the streetcar. And it was like, absolutely, yes. I could build here. We could be right on this line. People won't need a car. And that's what we want. That's what we want in an urban setting. You said people want walkability. They want entertainment. They want affordable housing. And that's what we're doing downtown.
Well, it's going to be exciting because in 10 years, the density along the Farnham Street corridor is going to be impressive.
It will be.
We've got the mayor of Omaha with us, the Honorable Jean Stothert. We're going to take our middle of the show break for the news. When we come back, we're going to talk to the mayor about a few other things like annexations, libraries out by 72nd and Dodge, and maybe a few other surprises. So don't go anywhere. Great conversation. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment. News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Different type of project, but when 20 years ago or whatever, when Jeff was working with the group on stump speeches for the Quest Center.
Yeah, that was fun.
The naysayers and the people that say, I live out west, I'm not going to use it, and all the big ways, this is huge dollars, everything else. I see the streetcar kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. But when I met with Warren, and he was delightful, he really was. But it was just an interesting conversation. But because he was right, I understood what he was saying. But for every reason that we like it is the reason he didn't. Well, it's permanent. There's rails in the ground. It's not flexible. But that's why we like it.
People don't ride rubber tire buses.
I know it. I know, and they don't
developers'
develop
confidence.
around the rubber tire because they could be changed. And he said, "Oh, Omaha's fine, and financially it's great. It'll develop without it." Well, it probably will. But this could only add to what is. So
Interesting you waited this long to come out with this.
I know, but you know what? I'm not gonna.
Yeah, he's Warren Buffett.
I'm not gonna argue with Warren Buffett.
We're grateful to have him.
I know it, and I told him that, and that's why I said that. Yeah.
What's interesting, if you think about it, with what Warren Buffett and his team has created, all the philanthropists, all these public-private partnerships, that's where a lot of this money comes from.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Great.
I know it. I know it.
And we love it.
And they want this downtown. I mean, the Med Center. Warren's a big fan of the Med Center, and they want it. They want that to go into their project next. And so I think for those who say they don't want it and they'll never use it, are the same that are saying I will never go to the Jean Leahy Mall. I hate it. Since you changed it, I don't like it. They're there.
They're there.
I want to be down.
There was nothing to do in the old Jean Leahy Mall. Unless you were a kid on the slide, there was nothing
I know
Across the
it.
bridge.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, I go down there and I'm still amazed at the attention to detail.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere you look, I love under the 10th Street Bridge there.
Yeah.
And all those
Video.
videos down there and everything. And it was so pretty at Christmas.
Any word on the
I like
next
the-
project? The funding? Are they just waiting for funding from
Project Next?
federal or?
Yeah, you know, when you're working with 3 federal departments, you know, it's
slows it down.
DHHS, it's Homeland Security, it's the DOD, Department of Defense. All these departments together, I think it's like herding cats. But they feel real positive that
But we're still the first one to get it.
yeah, that will be the prototype. And
Yeah.
have the first building. But, you know, it's slower than I thought it would be. But every time I talk to Dr. Gold, he's still more than
He's on it.
enthusiastic and knowing that it's going to happen.
Well, that admin
And we're
tower
working with them.
should start going up here fairly soon, shouldn't it?
The what? Yeah, they are. You
They're-
mean where the steel casting?
Yeah, the admin tower.
Yeah. And you know, we're in conversation with them now because we're putting in, you know, 93 million. The city is. And, you know, they want us to start the road work that we are going to be doing. So we're a good partner with that. They couldn't do it without the city.
Just think about the budgets, the money, the requests for money from the city. You started how many years ago?
10. I was in my 10th year being mayor.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
It's gone
I know,
fast.
I know it's crazy because I look at my own
You've only been mayor
budget.
for 10?
Yeah, and council for 4 before that. But I mean, I talk about $10 million now. Like, it's only 10.
Everybody does. That's just scary.
I know.
Inflation has
I know.
affected building projects.
I know.
Yeah.
And you talk about these big buildings like that are, I think Mutual is up around, they don't want to say it, but probably 700.
What do you think about the ConAgra campus? Trent and I were in college at the time when that was all being started in the late 80s. It was $60 million.
Yeah,
Everyone
huge
was like,
number.
oh my God,
Wow,
$60 million. Now that wouldn't even build you like 10% of a Mutual of Omaha building.
That sounds little.
Yeah.
It wouldn't build a soccer stadium.
Yeah, it wouldn't build a soccer
I
stadium.
know it. It's crazy. Do you remember how much the Woodman cost?
No, because that was built that opened the year I was born. We'd have to
No
look that up.
kidding.
1969, yeah. It's been there a long
What
time.
was it, probably 15 million or something?
I bet it would shock us when we saw how little it was.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, no
The
kidding.
streets are great, by the way. I'm
Oh,
telling you.
they're popping. The potholes are popping out, but not anything
Compared.
You know, we looked the other day, and it was something like we had something like 40 pothole, you know, complaints about like claims. You know, about that their tires were ruined or something. Last year in 2021, it was nothing compared to 2019 when everybody's cars were exploding and everybody was screaming at me. They're still screaming at me, but I still get the Facebook people, fix the roads. And it's like,
God.
we are fixing the roads.
It's hard with it when Omaha's at a certain latitude where almost every day in the winter the high gets above freezing for at least a while.
Yeah.
And almost every night the low is below freezing.
And there you go.
You know, Minneapolis, it's always freezing,
Yeah.
so it's probably not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City, it's usually not freezing. We're
Yeah.
just in the wrong spot for that.
Yeah. And like I noticed, say, L Street the other day, I drove it, but I've started to get a lot of complaints because it's pretty bumpy, but that's a state road.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and we filled potholes, but we're not going to go out and resurface L Street. The state needs to do that. They're gonna be doing some work on 144th near Stony Brook.
Yeah.
You know, continuing that the state, and I get a
'cause
lot
that's
of
a state highway, isn't
yeah,
it?
that's a state highway, and I get people calling. It's terrible. When are you going to resurface it? Well, the state is going to do it. 168th. I don't know if you've driven it recently.
off it.
Okay, south of Center. That you know, you could see that we've acquired all that right away. All
Right.
the utilities are marked.
Trees are coming down.
That work is going to start. That's $35 million worth of work there. Hawkins is doing
From
that.
center to Q or where?
First Center to Q.
Well, that's
yeah.
good because normally
It's a
only do
2-year
1 mile
project.
at a
That can
time.
go forward.
That's
I
yeah.
think
That's
they're
being
keeping, are they
done.
keeping it open while it?
You know, I asked Bob Stubbe that question just yesterday because we closed from Center to
Right.
Pacific. And I thought they were going to close it down the whole time. He said he wasn't sure. So, but you got that bridge by Zorinsky there. That's going to be.
We entered into Bay Shores, our neighborhood, and it's all. My wife is complaining because it's all black because there's no lights. Like they must have cut the power on the street lights
All
and
the
the entrance to
utilities
the,
are being taken
Oh, it's
out.
dark there?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, but they'll, that's going to start. Yeah,
All right.
it's all marked and ready
we
to
back?
go.
And Girl Omaha's back. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid were brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding and Dingman's Collision Center. 4 Omaha area locations take care of your auto body needs. They also have mechanical services as well. Dingman's is consistently voted the best collision center business in the entire Omaha metropolitan area. Well, before we get back to our conversation with the mayor, we want to go into our commercial real estate development spotlight of the week, which is brought to you by our good friends at Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies is building and developing projects in a variety of different places in the United States, but we really care about what they're doing here in Omaha. Exarban Village. I was in Exarban Village last night, had some out-of-town family here. We went to Saffron. We went over to Interrail for a drink afterwards. It was awesome. But we're not going to talk about Exarban Village today. We're not going to talk about Steel Ridge. We're not going to talk about River's Edge. We're going to talk about Nebraska Medicine's West Omaha Village Point Health Center campus, which is also a Noddle Companies project. The 4th building has been under construction since June of 2021. We now know it's expected to finish this spring. Coming along very, very nicely. And this will be a 120,000 square foot building, 80,000 square foot of clinic space on the upper levels, 15,000 square feet and lobby space on the ground level, 25,000 square feet of indoor parking. Buildings come along really nice, looks really good. And that is your commercial real estate development spotlight of the week, brought to you by Noddle Companies. You can find out more about them at noddlecompanies.com. Well, we have Mayor Jean Stothert with us today. And we have her on periodically to talk about Omaha growth and development projects. And, you know, Jean, we were talking about the Mutual of Omaha Tower. And in order to make that possible, we had to do library musical chairs.
Yes, we did.
How's that coming along?
I think it's good. I mean, to me, it's the best of the best. You know, we are going to have a new central library at 72nd and Dodge that is going to be like nothing other that you've ever seen. I mean, it is just fantastic. And, you know, the most of the money for design and construction is being paid by philanthropy. Again, the city is going to put in $20 million total, but we're talking probably north of $120 million new library that is just going to be amazing. So that's underway. The groundbreaking for that is yet to be announced, but it should be soon. And then downtown, you know, we did a lot of studying. The library did a facility study, and we knew the Dale Clark Library was very, very inefficient. And what you need downtown is a library that's going to serve its customers. And so where we are moving at 1401 Jones, what we are remodeling right now, it is going to be the perfect neighborhood library downtown. There will be access with buses. I think once it's open, people will like it. Now, people didn't want to see the Dale Clark go away. There was a lot of people that liked it. But again, I think it's like the Jean Leahy Mall. Once everything is done and they will see this Mutual of Omaha Tower there and a really, really nice new downtown neighborhood library, and then the new one at 72nd and Dodge, which is easily accessible for anybody in Omaha. It's right where all the bus lines are. I think people are really going to be really thrilled. And then we have that temporary space for administration at 84th and Frederick, and that is open too right now in the genealogy
I walked
collection.
through there. It looks great.
Yeah, genealogy is there, so that's open for the public. We tried to do as much as we could during all this transition so that we wouldn't have to decrease services or the availability of our libraries for anybody.
On a kind of a related note, we keep hearing talk about new police and fire headquarters facilities, and I believe there was an RFP recently.
There was an RFP that was put out. We will engage some local companies, hopefully, for site selection. But this would be for design that the RFP went out. We got a lot of interest in it already. Those are back. And they just came back not long ago. But this was a goal of mine that I've really given a lot of thought to since I have been mayor. And, you know, the old police headquarters downtown and the old fire headquarters, as anybody knows where it is, very, very dated. The area that they are in is prime for development. we need to replace them. And I always thought, why don't we do what other cities do and combine fire and police and make a public safety headquarters? And so we need to look, at what type of a design we want to put both of them together, and then also where we want to put it. We may end up leaving a dispatch for fire and police downtown because we have all of our stations very carefully placed around the city for uniform response time. But still, I think that this is absolutely the way to go. And another thing that is great is who I put in charge of this is Tom Warren, my chief of staff. And who is better equipped than Tom, who is a former chief of police. And he loves being involved in this process and to go and to do this RFP and decide what we are really going to have as far as a new fire and police headquarters.
So before we go beyond there, is that going to still stay downtown, or is the site selection process open to a variety of different locations?
I think my feeling is it needs to be downtown or close to downtown. But we will, hopefully, like I said, engage some local companies, I hope, to really look for that site selection, where the best site will be for that.
One of the things I wanted to work in really fast before we run out of time, it's not really development oriented, but still important. Jean, you've hired a new homeless service coordinator, and we're optimistic about what that position can do for the city.
I did, and I think everybody will agree that the homeless situation that we have, and every big city has, is a concern. It should be a concern to all of us. People have asked me, now that the Dale Clark Library is gone, where will the homeless go? Well, our libraries, our parks were never meant to be a home for the homeless. Our goal now is to prevent homelessness and to find them eventually homes, not to be staying in one of our parks or our libraries. And I thought, we do have a homeless task force. There are different people with the Omaha Police Department that are involved with it. Tom Warren is. But I strongly felt like we need one person that wakes up and this is all they think every day to really help us develop a strategic plan, work with all of our support that we have throughout the city, and really come up with a plan. We do have shelters in Omaha. And the Sienna Francis House, with the help, again, of philanthropy, has a brand new shelter. We did the old Francis House and turned it into a day shelter. The real problem is those who are unsheltered and choose to be unsheltered. And why are they unsheltered? So the encampments that we have around the city in this cold weather, I think it's a real concern, and I think we need to address it. And her name is Tamara Dwyer. We're going to have a press conference next week, and so everybody could meet her. But her whole focus is going to be on a plan that we could develop to not only deal with those who are homeless, but to try to prevent it as much as we can. And the interesting thing about her is that she was homeless at one time, too. So she really understands what it's like. And
shelters are great. We have great social services here. We could always use more. But the shelters are a temporary solution.
Yes.
And she is here to find permanent solutions and help people turn their lives around.
Right. Why are you homeless is the question. I see all these people, from young people, teens. There are a lot of teens that are homeless, and we just don't have the facilities to really address what the problems are. There's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of drug abuse problems. We need to tackle this situation.
And what's great is we had Aaron Hansen, who just got sworn in as the Douglas County Sheriff, and his plan and his priorities are to work towards that, the runaways, the people that have mental illness. And I've never seen more concentration throughout all forms of government in the private sector on mental illness, which is great.
We just have to. And Sheriff Hansen, I like saying that. He's going to do a great job. He was a great cop. He was great in the gang unit, and I'm so glad that he is our Douglas County Sheriff.
Well, Mayor, I wish we had more time.
I do too.
There are a few other things I want to ask you, but we don't have time.
There's a ton of things I want to talk about. You'll just have to have me back.
We will, and let's do it sooner rather than later.
All right.
So Mayor Jean Stothert, ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Grow Omaha show, talking about Omaha growth and development. We will have her back to talk about more things as the year goes along. We're going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, it'll be time for the Turner Construction Lightning Round. A lot of things on the list that you don't want to miss. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Can I get a picture with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want you to leave.
Let's do. You know what I do on Saturday morning at 10:30? I lift weights.
Oh, do you? That's your workout time?
Yeah. I do it 8:30 on Wednesday, and I do it at 10:30 on Saturday morning. And we'll smile at Carrie Murphy if she gets her phone ready. Her trusty little phone there takes really good pictures.
Yes, it does.
You send them to us?
My new phone. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Gotta have one there that's good. Let's see.
Hopefully.
Okay, eyes open. Excellent.
All right, all right.
Did you get my good side?
Yeah, my good side. I actually have a good side. I look better this side than this side, and I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Thank you so much for having me on.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
good to see you.
So maybe like this summer, late in the spring, maybe we can do it again or
I'd
something?
be happy.
Okay.
And by the way, I could not find the cost of the Woodman on Farnham, but the original Woodman down the street cost $1.5 million to build.
Was that the one built in the
Are
1800s?
you kidding?
1912. It was
1912? Okay.
1.5 million to
1.5
build.
million to build, and it's 19 floors.
We look at that as like pennies anymore,
Yeah.
don't we?
Like, oh, that's just...
Million.
How many houses in this town sell for more than 1.5?
But you're right, the housing market, you can't find anything for.
Oh, it's
400.
impressive how it's just fired up.
I know. I know,
It'll be
it's
up on the
crazy.
web.
Yeah.
Thanks, you
Thanks
guys.
so much.
All right.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon, Gene.
7 seconds.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, it'll be up on YouTube by Monday, right?
Yeah, should be, yeah.
This is Jim Rose, hoping that you hear every day of the Rosie Did You Nosy live at 8:50 in the morning. But in case you miss it,
You have
just
about
click
6.
on the podcast page under Jim Rose at kfab.com.
And welcome back to the show. It's the Turner Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things in a short period of time. Thank you to Turner Construction for making this possible. You know, they are one of the most respected, widely known, and powerful construction companies on planet Earth, but they have chosen to make Omaha, Nebraska, a area of concentration. Really have focused on this marketplace, doing big projects like Sarpy County Data Center, but also all sorts of tenant improvements, single building retail projects. A lot of times you'll see these Chase Bank branches that are popping up all over town. Turner has been working on those, and they really are committed to the community. Hence, sponsoring the Grow Omaha Minute, many other things as well. So we really appreciate Turner Construction for everything they do for our community. We have some restaurant updates to get started with today. First of all, Burrito Brothers is planned to open in the Sapp Brothers Travel Center. This is a Sapp Brothers concept. They opened their first one in their travel center in York, Nebraska last year. Now Burrito Brothers is open in Gretna. We're hearing some intel about the possible flagship restaurant group restaurants that are slated for the Mercantile District. These have not been announced, but our sources in the restaurant community are telling us maybe a steakhouse or something like that. Another one might be a Greek/Italian place, and a third one could be an Asian/Korean barbecue place. Out west, Lettuce Express has closed in the shops at Greyhawk, 144th and West Maple Road. Something completely unlettuce-like and unsalad-like is going to take its place. Oklahoma Joe's Barbecue. They're both Cutchell Management concepts. Oklahoma Joe's has an existing location in Exarban Village. Green Beans Coffee plans to open a second location in late January or early February at 3512 Sampson Way in Bellevue. Ribbon cutting is planned for February 3rd.
We need more coffee options.
Darn right. They've got a local coffee shop at 168th and Harrison Street. And since you want more coffee shops, Trenton, here's another one. Scooters Coffee has announced an opening date of late January for its new drive-through kiosk at Regency Landing, northeast of 680 and Pacific.
Perfect.
And while we're at Regency Landing, Clean Eats plans to open late this spring. It's a heart-healthy company that provides meal plans, a dine-in cafe, healthy catering, grab-and-go meals, snacks, and smoothies.
I'll be going there for my cleanse.
Why does every health place have to have smoothies? I mean, what?
I'm not sure. It seems like smoothies have a lot of sugar and a lot of...
I never eat a smoothie, but all these health places have blah, 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 and smoothies.
And pickleball.
And pickleball. So we have Jazzercise opening at 3503 Sampson Way in Bellevue in a 2,400 square foot space next to a restaurant called Beijing Tokyo. Florist of Omaha will hold a ribbon cutting January 12th for its new floral shop at 156th and West Dodge Road. The Mio is the restaurant that will be replacing Lo Sole Mio. Talked to the owner or one of the owners yesterday. He said they're working on renovations. They have a few more things to take care of for the certificate of occupancy. They're working on finalizing their liquor license. He said the menu is complete. Everything's getting really close. They know it's going to open in the first quarter of this year, but they don't have an exact date yet.
That'll be fun to check out.
Yeah, he said they're going to pay homage to La Sola Mio, but that there will be some unique things. And in fact, he said, the past owners of La Sola Mio have told him to say, hey, it's great that you're going to honor our restaurant, but we also realize you've got to do your own thing
right.
and be your own restaurant. But that sounds like it's going to be a really good concept coming to that area. Looking forward to trying that when that opens sometime in the first quarter of this year. FNBO, First National Bank of Omaha, is having a ribbon cutting January 24th for its new branch office at the northeast corner of Highway 370 and Highway 6 in the Gretna area. So all sorts of things happening in the metro.
Our city is not slowing down.
Gosh, we're not. And like we said earlier, if you missed the beginning of the show, Sarah Baker Hansen, our official restaurant reviewer, reviewed Texas Day Brazil today as part of the Cheer Athletics Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews. You can find that information and read all about Texas Day Brazil by going to growomaha.com, clicking on EATS Eats on the navigation bar. Hey, while you're there on that website, you can also click on Market Report. And on Market Report, we have our most recent Grow Omaha newsletter. It's really a digital newspaper, as we like to call it, because it's so content heavy. And you can find every other Grow Omaha newsletter that we've done since the beginning of time on that site. If you want to get that newsletter sent to you in your inbox every day, no problem. All you have to do is fill out the form on growomaha.com, or you can send a message to news@growomaha.com. And that thing continues to draw people like crazy, and the readership keeps growing and growing, and we're really excited about that. So Trenton, having the mayor on today was pretty exciting.
Great to catch up with her.
It was, and a lot of people don't realize this, but we have a thing called Grow Omaha Uncut. You can listen to the video, and we actually record what we talk about in the commercial breaks. During one of the commercial breaks, we talked about road conditions and road improvements. If you want to hear about that, go listen and watch Grow Omaha Uncut. The music's playing, which means we are done. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Maggot.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you again next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Great show.
Bum, bum, bum. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.